Um, I, I I would say if you believe in God, take as much pressure off of yourself as you can and apply that pressure to Him. If you believe in God, then you know that in His books, He's got certain contractual obligations as well. It's certain things He has to do in certain situations. And it's okay if you put Him in those situations. It's okay for you to say, I believe there's a God, and I believe that if there is, He loves me and He would help me in this situation. It is impossible for you to do that and then watch something happen and not know where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And so any artist, I would just say, make sure that your relationship with God is one of the relationships that you're also working on, whether it's spouse, kids, everything else. Make sure to pay attention to your relationship with God, because it really is the difference maker in how things turn out. Everybody doesn't serve God. Some people serve the devil, and they put him in positions, and it's terrible to say, but if that person has a better relationship with Satan than you do with God, that's your fault too. And so I think that's the only advice that I would give to an artist, is to find your higher power and connect. Because until you do that, you're just a rudderless ship out here. And I know from my own personal experience that it doesn't matter how young you get that relationship. It's never too early.
Speaking of relationships, what's your take on relationships? Have you ever been
I love
married?
relationships.
Have you ever been married?
No, never married.
Do you believe in marriage? Or do you
I
believe
do.
in?
Yeah, my parents are still married.
Yeah. Well,
I
what
had a
about you?
wonderful
What about
example.
you?
Yeah. What about me?
You've never been married. Would
Right.
you want to be? Have you found the right person? Is it not something that you're interested in, settling down with a single person? Do you envision what your parents have for yourself ever? Is that even a goal? That's exhausting.
No, not really. It's not that. It's yeah. I think marriage is great. It's just that at the point in my life when that would have been the next thing that I was going towards, that's when I had this instant huge family.
Yeah.
And then I was just so reticent to bring a person into this dynamic just because of how unfair that would be to this lady to have all of these kids that are not hers. And so I was trying to make myself a better version of me in advance for this wife, right?
Yeah.
But in the meantime of that, I'm the one doing the cooking and the laundry and the cleaning and the school wake-ups. And so it got to the point where I was the wife.
Yeah.
And yeah, so where I am now, I finally have something I could offer a lady, I suppose. Monogamy has not been a part of my journey. I've tried to share this gift with whoever needed it.
Why limit it? Why limit why limit the world?
This gift for
You're
whoever
precious.
needed it. My man. Okay, Katt.
And you love. I love it. I do. Because why? That's the ultimate
He
question.
is all of our hero.
But you have a farm. Not to there's so much. There's so many kind of little surprising layers.
Right.
So
yes. Lovely farm.
A lovely farm. Is it like a full working farm? I mean, are you?
We have 100 ducks, 100 geese, cows, pigs, goats, sheep. We have animals that you never see. It's just a wonderful 100 and some acre property in Americana that's just magical. And it's the thing that I am creating, which is Heaven on Earth, the name of the tour. But it's a whole philosophy of whatever you think the afterlife is going to be for you, you can start making that for yourself here somewhere.
Do you tour every year? Or how does your tours, how do you think about that? Is it like training, like you want to be on tour every couple of years just to, or how do you think about?
I'm an athlete. I have the same season as my athlete counterparts. So in the NBA, they play 82 games. I'm not sure what it is in baseball, but I have 100 shows. I do 100 shows and then I tape a special. And that's been the routine that I've had since I think 2001 was my first one. So
is this that work ethic that the lawnmower kid that got you that $1,200, the feeling like if I'm doing it, I got to do my best. I got to put it in. I got to,
Well, I met Prince when I was 12. And he changed
how did that
the
happen?
trajectory of belief for me. Like I knew I didn't have to make any changes. This was a guy who was shorter than me. He was already rich and famous. And he had a purpose in life. And so a relative of his was my first girlfriend. She was a little older than I was. So if I was 12, she was 16. She had a family member that was coming into town. He was a musical artist. Because of my background, I wasn't really up on all of the musical artists as you would think that I would be. But
you had wooed her with all the candy that you supplied.
I don't know if you can tell this, but I make really good conversation. And, money's not an object. And I only care what you like. So it makes me a good conversation.
And you have the mustache.
Right. I got a mustache and candy. What more you want? But yeah, so she's like, yeah, he's just going to be here after his show at the UD Arena. And you should meet him. So I ride my bike over there and I go in the house and I meet this guy, Prince, right? And you ever meet somebody and go, ooh, this person's way smarter than me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was really my first time being in the vicinity of real brilliance, like when it's not for show. And so we're having this super deep conversation.
And you're 12.
Right. And we are connecting and we have decided at the end of this conversation, we're friends, right? So I get ready to walk out, say bye to my girl. He says, you'll walk me down. So me and Prince are walking down these steps, but he's thinking we're going to my car. When we get down to the bottom of the steps, my bicycle is right there. And he's like, what's that? I was like, what do you mean, what's that? That's my, I'm thinking he likes it. I'm thinking he's noticed I've got the tricked out mongoose.
Yes.
He knows I'm
it's mine.
Full of cash. Yeah, you're looking at it. And that's when he lets me know that he's 18, a grown man. I'm 12.
Wow.
But because of our sizes, we just assumed that each other was the same. I don't know what I was
Sizes
thinking, but
and mustaches.
That's
right. So for all, he gave me the confidence to know, because up until that point in my life, I thought that there were some things I was going to need to do in order to be good enough. Like, I got to get taller. I don't know. This might be the first mistake God has ever made. Like I can't find evidence that anyone in the world missed a growth spurt. Like, you have to understand, ma'am, 3rd grade, I'm 5'5". A giant among
You're
men.
like, I
Big
got
man
this.
on campus. Like,
Truly, right. It's like,
right.
man, and that was it.
So Prince helped me see immediately I didn't have to get taller.
Yeah.
He already had just signed his his music deal. He had just produced his album by himself. He played 26 instruments on it. He did all of the jobs.
Yeah.
And it had worked. And so I knew that I didn't have to make any changes. I just had to be in the right position and be right myself when it transpires. So super helpful, that guy.
Yeah, no, that would be, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Well, let's help some folk. Let's help one of our listeners.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we've got a listener from San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
And her name's Amber. And I think her question is going to resonate with you. So,
Hi, Michelle and Craig. I love the podcast. My name is Amber. I'm 32 years old, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I opened my own salon at 22, and since then, I've navigated both personal and professional challenges. After a difficult relationship and some time living independently, I believed I had found healing and stability. But due to unforeseen circumstances, I had to move back home, which has brought its own emotional complexities. Over the past 2 years, I've been seriously considering relocating to New York City or Boston, not only to pursue greater opportunities in my industry, but also in hopes of building a life that breaks generational cycles. I've been taking small, intentional steps, investing in my business, putting myself out there, and making growth a priority. When I listened to your conversation with Kiki Palmer, I was struck by the part where you shared how you began seeking new paths and meeting people after realizing law wasn't your true calling. So, my question is, when you were stepping into unfamiliar spaces and pursuing something new, did you feel overwhelmed or afraid? If so, how did you move through that fear without letting it stop you?
all right.
That's a big one.
That's
It's a doozy.
Okay.
That's a college level essay question. So any thoughts for Amber, just off the top of your head?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Amber, you're doing the work. And when you do the work, an answer comes out. So I don't think that you're confused in any way. I don't think you're wondering what it is you need to do next. I think you already know. I think you know that there isn't anything for you at the Riverwalk. San Antonio is a wonderful place, but it's not going to get you to where you see yourself being. I think very specifically you picked New York and Boston. If the fear is what you're dodging, the fear is necessary. The fear is there for a reason. The fear is to make sure that you don't take this for granted this time and end up in San Antonio for the 3rd time. The fear is useful. On the other hand, you're only going to look back and go, I should have left earlier. Why didn't I go earlier? Not anything else. You're not ever going to regret this decision. You're going to regret the time it took you to get to this decision. All of the new relationships, your whole new life is there. And you deserve at 30, whatever you are, to be able to pull that parachute and do a new life. And if you mess that one up, go from New York to Boston now. It never stop being in search of your calling and your purpose. It is there. You are going to find it. You're right on schedule. You're not behind. There's nobody to blame, and there's only upside. So I think you're doing great, Amber. I think you know you're doing great. I think you just wanted us to reaffirm that you're making the right decisions. You're not crazy. And yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Katt. Wise Katt. All the layers of Katt. I like it. I like it. I would address the fear part of it because I talk about fear a lot. I agree. fear is there for a reason, and it's just interpreting the fear that you have. There is an element of fear and caution and everything, and that's a good thing. I always say there's the good fear that keeps you safe, but you just don't want to overindulge the fear that keeps you stuck, because fear can keep you stuck.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are a lot of people who don't experience, don't try, don't grow because they're afraid of the unknown. And that can leave you in a small place, because all the good stuff happens on the other side of fear. When you lean into it, get comfortable with it, know it's a part of the ride. If you can bear with that initial sort of the anxiety that comes with anything new, and say that's normal. It's normal that I'm starting something new. I don't know anyone. I feel a little anxious about it. Ride that wave of anxiety, but don't let it stop you, because when you do, you miss the growth that comes from taking a risk and pushing beyond the thing that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you practice moving away from that fear, you just practice always feeling safe.
Yeah.
But you'll look around and realize that you might feel safe, but you won't be happy, and you probably have missed out on a lot of really amazing stuff.
And you're not safe.
And you're not safe
where you are.
That's right.
There is no bubble of safety, because this is where you're from.
Yeah.
You might as well have that experience, because she said in her industry, right? So. Yeah, she's not gonna make it out there in Texas doing hair for celebrities. She's gotta
go where the work is.
New York and Boston.
Yeah. So that's
great. Both of you have hit on some really good points. Fear is healthy, and you can't let fear paralyze you so that you don't do anything. And the only thing that I would add, just to contextualize this for Amber, is that you're always going to be nervous about the next step. So take it so you learn what that feels like. And each time it will be less fearful. That's what I found. The first hard pivot is the hardest. And then after that, you build that muscle and you're less afraid to try new things.
Or at least they will remain consistent. So I'm the other part of the extreme. So every time that I have to do stand-up, I'm as nervous and direct as I was the very first time that I ever did it, and got like every single So even though we're almost at 10,000 shows in my 23rd 100 city tour, like that nervousness and the butterflies and it never has gone away. It's what allows me to realize something's counting on this. There's something on this. You must do well.
You're passionate about it.
Right.
Yes.
And you need that in your life as a barometer, so that you don't take things for granted. And it's in no way should stop you. It should further. Why would you be getting nervous for something that wasn't going to matter?
That's right.
If you're nervous and fearful, there's a good reason.
That's true.
Still do it.
Yeah. We like that. Well, hopefully, Amber, we wish you good luck.
Right.
Keep going. I think Katt said it right. You know you're on the right track, and we are all confirming that you are. So keep going.
And we hope to see you in New York.
Yeah, and let us know, how it goes when you make that move.
Right.
Katt, this,
my man.
You a layered little dude.
Right.
The layers of Katt.
Heavy on the layers.
Katt's like, I know.
Yeah, I know. Katt, thank you. This was a real privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting us on your list. Making the time.
Your very short list.
Most of my things are like that.
I'd say you set them up for that one.
Was the king of the short list.
Point guard.
Right.
Alley-oop.
That's how this goes. Yeah. No, I really appreciate the opportunity that you both are making for yourselves and for others. Like, this is really a big deal.
This has been a treat. You are truly a gift in more ways than one. So thank you. Katt Williams, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Everybody, give it up.
Soft, contemplative music begins, a low, warm hum. It plays for a moment before fading into the background. Okay, I've just finished watching something, and I need to sit with it for a minute. The video is called Katt Williams on Do You Believe in the Man Above? And if you know anything about Katt Williams, you know that when he speaks on something like this, on belief, on God, on the nature of existence, it's not going to be a simple Sunday school answer. It's not going to be a tidy 4-point sermon that fits neatly into a box. It's going to be a journey, a wild, winding, hilarious, and deeply, deeply unsettling journey. And I've been sitting here in the quiet, just letting it wash over me, because I think I need to unpack it. I need to talk it out. So let's do that. The title alone sets a certain expectation, doesn't it? Do you believe in the man above? It sounds like a question you'd get from a well-meaning relative at a holiday dinner. A question that's meant to have a simple yes or no answer. But Katt Williams doesn't do simple yes or no. He deals in the spaces in between. He deals in the contradictions, the struggles, the moments of doubt that are actually where real faith is forged. And what he does in this video, and I want to be careful here because I'm going to be speaking about it at length. What he does is take that question and turn it inside out. He doesn't just ask if you believe, he asks what you believe. He asks why you believe. And he asks what that belief actually costs you, what it actually asks of you in the quiet, lonely hours of your life. He starts, and the way he starts is so important. He's not on a stage in a big arena. He's in an intimate setting. It's a conversation. He's leaning in. His voice has that rhythm, that cadence that pulls you in. He's not performing in the traditional sense. And that's the first thing that gets me. Because when a comedian, especially a comedian like Katt Williams, starts talking about God, your defenses go up a little. You think, okay, here comes the bit. Here comes the critique of organized religion, the jokes about church people. And he gives you some of that. He gives you the laughs. He gives you the commentary on hypocrisy and the absurdities of human behavior in the name of faith. But he uses those laughs like a door. He gets you laughing so you're open, so your chest is a little looser, and then he walks you through that door into something much deeper. He talks about his own life, and this is where it becomes less about abstract theology and more about lived experience. He talks about the streets. He talks about survival. He talks about the moments when he was at his lowest, when everything he had built could have crumbled, when he was face to face with his own mortality and his own mistakes. And in those moments, he describes a reckoning, not with a church, not with a pastor, not with a doctrine, but with something inside himself, a confrontation with his own understanding of what is true. And he frames it in a way that I think is so honest, it's almost uncomfortable. He says essentially that you can't really know what you believe until you've been tested, until you've been in a situation where believing is the only thing you have left. It's easy to believe when everything is going well. It's easy to say you have faith when your bank account is full, your health is good, and the people around you are happy. But what happens when it all falls apart? What happens when you're sitting in the wreckage of choices you made, or choices that were made for you, and you have to look up and ask, are you there? Do you see me? Do you care? He doesn't give a tidy answer to that. And that's what makes this so powerful. He talks about doubt not as the enemy of faith, but as its companion. He talks about the wrestling, the late nights, the moments of silence from above that feel like abandonment. And he talks about what it means to keep reaching, keep seeking, even when you're not sure anything is reaching back. This is where his perspective becomes so unique, because he comes from a place, a background, a culture, a lived reality, where the idea of the man above is not a philosophical abstraction, it's a lifeline. It's what people hold on to when the systems of the world have failed them, when the justice system is unjust, when the economic system is rigged, when the social structures are designed to keep you down. He talks about how in those communities, faith isn't a hobby. It isn't something you do on Sunday mornings to feel good about yourself. It's survival. It's the thing that keeps you going when every material indicator says you should give up. And he has this moment in the video, I'm thinking of it now and it's giving me chills just remembering it, where he talks about the difference between religion and spirituality. He doesn't use those words exactly, but that's what he's circling. He talks about the buildings, the institutions, the hierarchies, the rules that men have created in the name of God. And he talks about how those things can become obstacles. They can become cages. They can become tools of control, used to keep people small, to keep them fearful, to keep them looking to human authority instead of cultivating their own direct connection to something greater. And he's not dismissive of the church. You can feel that he has love for it, that he understands its importance as a gathering place, as a source of community and support. But he's also painfully aware of its failures, the hypocrisy, the judgment, the way it can exclude the very people who need it most. He tells these stories, funny, tragic, razor-sharp stories about church folk and preachers and deacons, and in every story, he's pointing to the gap between what is preached and what is practiced. And he's asking in his own way, how do you hold on to the sacred when the people who claim to represent it keep letting you down? This is a question, I think, that resonates far beyond any one community. It's a question for anyone who has ever been hurt by an institution they were taught to trust. Anyone who has ever felt the sting of judgment from people who claim to speak for God. Anyone who has ever walked away from a faith tradition, not because they lost their belief in something greater, but because they couldn't stomach the smallness, the pettiness, the cruelty that was being done in that greater thing's name. And what Katt does in this video is he offers an alternative, not a new religion, not a set of rules, but a posture, a way of being. He talks about humility. He talks about the importance of staying teachable, of not assuming you have all the answers, of recognizing that the moment you think you've got God figured out is the moment you've lost the plot. He talks about the arrogance of certainty, especially the certainty that condemns others. And he contrasts that with the strength of someone who can say, I don't know, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still seeking. And he ties this back to his own journey in a way that is so vulnerable. Because Katt Williams, as many of us know, has had a public life that has been tumultuous. There have been highs and lows, triumphs and very public struggles. And in this video, he doesn't shy away from that. He talks about the mistakes he's made, the people he's hurt, the versions of himself that he's had to leave behind. And he talks about what it meant to come back from those places, to rebuild, to reckon with his own ego and his own choices. And in the midst of that, he locates his belief. Not in a moment of dramatic conversion, but in a series of small, persistent acts of surrender, of letting go of the need to be in control, of recognizing that he is not the center of the universe, that there is something larger than his own ambition, his own talent, his own will. He talks about the arrogance of thinking you can do it all alone, that you don't need anything or anyone beyond yourself. And he talks about the relief, the almost unbearable relief, of admitting that you need help, of admitting that there are forces at work in the world and in your own life that you cannot explain, cannot control, can only humbly receive. This is where the video for me becomes less about Katt Williams and more about a mirror being held up to my own face. Because I have to ask myself the same questions. Do I believe in something greater than myself? And if I do, what does that belief actually look like in the way I live? Is it a belief that makes me more loving, more humble, more compassionate? Or is it a belief I use to prop up my own ego, to feel superior, to judge others? Is my belief a comfort or a weapon? Does it open me up or close me down? And I think this is the genius of how he structures this commentary. He doesn't tell you what to believe. He doesn't give you a set of doctrines to sign off on. He gives you a framework for interrogating your own belief. He gives you permission to have doubts. He gives you permission to not have it all figured out. He gives you permission to be in process, to be unfinished, to be someone who is still asking questions, instead of someone who has settled into the comfort of easy answers. He talks about the arrogance of atheism, too. And I want to be careful here, because I don't want to misrepresent what he's saying. He's not dismissing people who don't believe. What he's doing is questioning the certainty. He's questioning the idea that you can look at the complexity of existence, the universe, consciousness, love, suffering, everything, and conclude with absolute certainty that there is nothing beyond the material. He finds that kind of certainty to be just as dogmatic, just as closed off as the most rigid religious fundamentalism. He talks about the mystery, the vastness, the things we cannot know. And he suggests that a truly humble posture, whether you call yourself a believer or not, is one that leaves room for the unknown. That says, I see what I see, I know what I know, but I also know that my vision is limited, my understanding is partial, and there is so much more than I can comprehend. This resonates with me deeply, because I think so much of the conflict in our world, the shouting, the division, the inability to have conversations across difference, comes from this insistence on certainty, from people on all sides who have decided they have the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and anyone who disagrees is not just mistaken, but evil. And what Katt is offering, in his own wild, profane, deeply sincere way, is a different path, a path of humility, a path of openness, a path that says, I am walking this road as best I can, with the light I have, but I know the road is long, and the light is limited, and I need to stay humble enough to learn, to grow, to be surprised. He talks about the importance of community in this journey, and this is another thread that runs through the video. He talks about how belief, real belief, is not meant to be done alone. It's not a solitary project. It's something that is tested and strengthened in relationship with others. He talks about the people who have been there for him, who have shown him grace when he didn't deserve it, who have loved him through his worst moments. And he talks about those relationships as evidence of something beyond the material, as evidence that there is a force, call it love, call it grace, call it God, that moves through human beings when they open themselves to it. And this is where he brings it back to the practical, because belief for Katt Williams is not something that lives in your head. It's not a set of intellectual propositions you assent to. It's something that shows up in your actions, in how you treat people, in how you respond to adversity, in whether you can forgive, even when forgiveness is not deserved, in whether you can extend grace, even when grace is not earned. He talks about the hypocrisy of people who claim to love God but hate their neighbor, who claim to follow the teachings of a man who said to love your enemy, and then spend their energy building walls and nursing grudges. He doesn't let anyone off the hook, including himself, and that's part of what makes this so compelling. There's no self-righteousness here. He's not standing above anyone, delivering wisdom from on high. He's in the trenches. He's talking about his own failures, his own struggles, his own ongoing journey. He's saying, I'm still figuring this out. I'm still getting it wrong sometimes. But I'm trying. And the trying is the thing. And I think that's the message that lands with me most powerfully. Because I think so many of us are walking around with this quiet anxiety about whether we're getting it right, whether our beliefs are correct enough, whether we're good enough, whether we're worthy enough. And what Katt is saying, in his roundabout, hilarious, deeply human way, is that the point is not to have it all figured out. The point is to stay in the conversation, to keep reaching, to keep asking, to keep showing up, even when you're not sure what you're showing up for. He talks about the concept of grace, and he does it without using the theological jargon that usually accompanies that word. He talks about it in terms of getting things you don't deserve. Second chances, third chances, moments when you should have fallen but something held you up. Moments when you should have been alone but someone showed up. And he says that if you've experienced that, if you've ever been on the receiving end of undeserved kindness, unexpected help, a way opening up when there seemed to be no way, then you have encountered something that transcends explanation. You have encountered something that points to a reality beyond the cold, mechanistic universe that some people try to reduce everything to. And he doesn't demand that you call that something God. He's not here to police your language, but he's asking you to pay attention to it, to not dismiss it, to not explain it away, to let it soften you, open you, remind you that you are part of something larger than yourself. As I'm talking, I'm realizing that this video is not really an argument for belief in the way we usually think of arguments. It's not trying to convince you of a particular set of propositions. It's an invitation. An invitation to take your own questions seriously. To not run from your doubts. To not settle for a faith that is shallow, that is just about going through the motions, that is just about cultural affiliation or family tradition. It's an invitation to do the hard, ongoing work of figuring out what you actually believe, and then living in alignment with that belief, even when it's costly, especially when it's costly. And he talks about the cost. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He talks about how believing, really believing, not just saying you believe, will set you at odds with the world sometimes. It will make you uncomfortable. It will ask you to do things that don't make sense from a purely self-interested perspective. It will ask you to forgive when everything in you wants revenge. It will ask you to be generous when you feel like holding back. It will ask you to be honest when dishonesty would be easier. It will ask you to stand for something when standing for something makes you a target. And he says, with this look in his eye that is both fierce and tender, that it's worth it. That the alternative, living a life without any anchor, without any North Star, without any sense of connection to something beyond your own immediate desires, is a kind of poverty that no amount of money or success can fill. He's lived that poverty. He's had the money, the fame, the adoration, and he's had the emptiness that comes when those things are all you have. And he's speaking from that place, from the place of having tried to fill the void with everything the world told him would work, and finding that none of it did. He ends the video in a way that is so characteristic of him. There's no big crescendo, no altar call, no dramatic declaration. He just settles. He gets quiet. He looks into the camera or into the small room, and he says something that I'm still processing. Something about the simplicity of it all. That at the end of the day, after all the philosophy and the theology and the debates and the arguments, it comes down to something very simple. Something about how you treat people. Something about whether you can love. Something about whether you can look at another human being and see something sacred in them, even when they don't see it in themselves. And then it's over. And you're left sitting there, in the quiet, with your own thoughts, with your own beliefs or lack thereof, with your own questions, with your own longing. And I think that's the point. That's the whole point. He's not here to give you answers. He's here to remind you that the questions matter, that the asking matters, that the seeking matters, that the wrestling matters, that the doubt, the struggle, the nights when you don't know what you believe, all of that is part of the journey, and that the journey is the thing, not the arrival, not the final, settled certainty, the journey. I've been sitting here for, well, I've lost track of time, honestly. And I'm realizing that this video, this 20-something minute conversation with Katt Williams, has done something to me. It's opened something up. It's softened something. It's made me want to be more honest about my own doubts, my own struggles, my own half-believed beliefs. It's made me want to be more gentle with people who are in a different place on the road than I am. It's made me want to take my own spiritual life more seriously, not in a rigid, rule-bound way, but in a way that is more attentive, more humble, more open. And maybe that's the gift of it. Not the answers, but the permission. Permission to not have it all figured out. Permission to keep asking. Permission to be in process. Permission to believe that there is something beyond what we can see and measure and control, even if we can't name it, even if we can't fully understand it, even if we can only grasp it in fleeting moments of grace and love and unexpected kindness. So I'm going to sit with this for a while longer. I'm going to let it settle. I'm going to ask myself the hard questions that Katt Williams, in his own inimitable way, has placed in front of me. And I'm going to try to be okay with not having all the answers. I'm going to try to stay open. I'm going to try to keep seeking. Because maybe that's what belief really is. Not a destination, not a set of propositions you can recite, but a direction, a posture, a willingness to keep moving toward the light, even when the path is unclear, even when the night is long, even when you're not sure you'll ever fully arrive. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's more than enough. Soft music begins to play again, a gentle, contemplative melody. It swells slightly, then begins to fade, leaving a long, quiet moment of silence.